Ladies and gentlemen, as we welcome you back to Inters Racing League Round 2, and we are at our first Enduro. That is in the desert in Bahrain at the Sakir GP circuit. Scotty here with you on your Friday night, bringing you a different tier. Won't be doing tier 1, but thankfully tier 3's opened up, but thankfully I'm not here to do the slog alone. We'll be here for about 2.5 hours, I reckon. But I have Apollo Pepsi next to me. Apollo, how are you on this lovely Friday night?
Fantastic, thank you, Scotty. Yes, 2 hours of racing. First off, that 18-minute qualifying is not really gonna mean much for this Enduro race because it's 57 laps. It will just mean better starting position. Probably not crash out at the start, which I believe happened last week. There was a collision at the start of the race.
I believe so. And this turn one here at Bahrain's not really any different. It just very, very tight turn one, the right-hander, which obviously then goes back to the left for turn two. But yeah, Bahrain, we do tend to see first corner collision, so hopefully we can get through with all the tier three guys. But yeah, should be a very interesting one indeed. We saw a fantastic action last time out in Silverstone for all three tiers. It was very, very competitive, and the racecraft, at least on this game, is really, really good, even though there may be some other issues due to Codemasters. But yeah, it's looking to be a fantastic season. Tier 3 obviously was no exception, as we'll have a look at that last race as I didn't really size that properly, so we'll try and get that right. Apologies, but Hato was the victor in Tier 3 last time out, ahead of King Lee and Loading Rifle. Loading Rifle actually crossed the start-finish line first, but having that 10-second time penalty dropped to P3. Obviously, Apollo, you called that race last week. Great race from at least the top three, and yeah, unfortunate for Loading Rifle, but Hato kept it clean.
Yeah, Lone Rifle last week had all the pace in him. Just a bit too fast on that pedestrian line. Actually, not able to get that race win. He did pull out like 5 second gap, as you see by the standings, but it wasn't enough for that penalty. But Mercy last week actually did pretty alright. Me and Chillpill last week were kind of giving him a bit of smack for turn TC off or no line off and been a bit slow, but he proved us wrong.
He did. It was interesting pace-wise. Obviously, 25 seconds off the race winner's time, so obviously a bit of improvement. Obviously, Mercy will be the only full-time driver not racing tonight, as we do switch to our Tier 3 lineup. So just a reminder for everybody at home. So Mercy in the Mercedes, unfortunately not in tonight. So we do have the reserve of Oscar Piastri go. So interesting username, but we'll see how well they can go as the lone reserve tonight. So 19 other full-time drivers in. So good to see, very close in the championship, as we'll have a look, but qualifying is just about to get underway. We'll have a quick look at our track details for you. And as you said, Apollo, 57 laps around this 5.412 kilometre circuit, 15 corners, 3 DRS zones, and we are using the hardest of the tyre selection, the C1, the C2, and the C3. So looking at the tyres, obviously the rears can take a little bit of a hit, especially that rear left. So guys will have to manage that, but obviously with the 100% tyre wear is just a little bit different. Interesting to see what strategies we'll see. More likely than not, probably a two-stop. Obviously, safety cars can come out around here, so it'll be very interesting to see. Obviously, that mixture of downforce and straight line speed, with obviously nearly four long straights to contend with. But Apollo, how do you find Bahrain as a track itself?
After this new handling patch, I don't find it the funnest anymore because some curves you're not allowed to ride anymore without losing your rear. But just going off wings that people might be using, I expect people to be using more high downforce and low. even considering there's a lot of straights, you want that downforce for the middle section of the track.
Yeah, that handling patch, as you said before, it's got to be interesting to see how the guys definitely do that. But I think that's enough waffling for us. Qualifying's underway. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us on this Friday night action for Inter-Racing League. Let's begin our first Enduro of the season. This is qualifying for Bahrain. As we load into the session, you can see a few guys out on track, just over 15 minutes left to go in the session. So let's try and find a driver that is on a bit of a hot lap. What do I want? Track data and the full track map. So Dan the Racer already in invalidation early on, as we got Tyrone. Did well last week, so looking forward to see how they go in the Alpine. Buster obviously leading that team. He'd love to see an Alpine or two on the podium, even the top step. So majority of the guys on the soft compounded tyres. Broseph the only one at the moment on a medium tyre. So obviously just getting a couple of laps in, trying to get the eye in on this circuit. Obviously, as you can see, as we ride on board with Broseph, obviously that sort of sunset-like conditions, and obviously that will be in the race. You'll start in this sort of light, and then obviously go back into darkness. So Broseph on the mediums. We got Hato, our race winner from last week, provisional pole, first lap time at 28.591. But as we said at the start, obviously with this handling model slightly changed, I think a lot of drivers were about half a second behind. So it will be very interesting to see what this Tier 3 pole time will be.
Yeah, there's been some talk about this handling patch and people trying to figure out why they have slowed down. Some are thinking straight line of speed, some are thinking the curbing. It's kind of a mix of both for both drivers, but or all drivers, it's a mix of both. But we'll see how they're able to withstand the handling.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I saw a couple of comments in the Tier 3 chat prior that a couple of these guys actually hadn't done a lot of laps prior to this, and actually just realising that yeah, it is a little bit different to handle. But you got J-Man, who unfortunately missed last week, going onto the front row, but that's 6 tenths behind Hato at the moment. Tyrone currently in P3, Parzival in P4. We got Xandon in the other Sauber, missing last week as well, but in for the first time this season, as I believe they've invalidated. So it'll be interesting to see how their lap time will go. But obviously, as we sort of mentioned last week in a couple of the tiers, obviously with this new ERS system, you can actually do a flyer, a cool down lap, and then another flyer. So you've got a little bit of strategy to work with in terms of how you do want to set your quality lap times, and more of a chance to obviously save soft compounded tyres as well. Oh, it's a good lap from King Dogger, 28.523, just pinching the pole from Hato. And as said before, King Dogger, Kingley looking very quick in this tier. And the Battle Cat will be very happy to see Ferrari at the moment in P1. As Broseph, P7 on the medium tyres. Obviously, it's still a second and a bit off pole, but still that time on those medium tyres. Paulo, you seen anybody looking at some quick times?
I was just on board with the Williams of the cut speed just in the turn one. Not Taiwan. There was a junkyard dog, massive lockup in the turn one. I just saw a big puff of smoke. But he's still having trouble with the lockups, it seems. It was put in an update that was turned down with the engine mode as well, so everyone might be running a bit high engine braking than normal, which might affect some people's braking, but we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, interesting to see. Obviously, guys still getting used to the setups. There's still another little bit of a lock-up from Junkyard going into turn 11. So we'll follow through the Alpine in the final sector. So coming around turn number 13. And potentially a move you can do at the final corner, 14 and 15, but not really worth it, obviously, with the long DRS straight down towards turn number 1. So you don't really see moves there, but that's an important area, important corner to get right to then obviously get past cars you're battling as Junkyard. Goes into the top 10, 29.915. So as we just very closely hit 10 minutes left to go in the session, so people have mostly done their first runs on board with Crowjag. So the two Mercs yet to set a lap time. Crowjag currently in the middle sector. It's really yellow flag. I think that's just one of the Red Bulls just running out of fuel. So they're close to the pit lane, so they'll be able to come back in and go for another lap. Turn 10, the downhill left-hand, probably the worst corner on this track in terms of trying to get it consistently right. How do you find it as a corner? You either go deep or you just break that too early and you throw away a chunk of time.
Yeah, it's an interesting corner. Yeah, it's like you say, you either go deep, try to make the apex as best you can, or you brake early, roll it in, turn in early. Avoid that inside curve, because if you do hit that inside curve, it just screws up your traction out of the corner. So it's a corner where you really need to nail it to actually gain the most out of it. I told my Red Bull teammates for that corner, or for that brake bias to run the lowest they can. I think I suggested them to run 53 just for that corner. Is a pain.
It's interesting to see how people will take that corner, especially with obviously 100%. Obviously, you're going to be chock full of fuel, and I imagine that one of those corners is going to be absolutely terrible to drive down the race. So purple in the middle sector on screen now, about to come across the line down the race. Jumps up into the top 7, still a second and a half off the top guys. But again, obviously still half the session left to go, as we can see a whole lot of traffic in the final sector, and it is Xander Plays that leads that particular train. As Xander will come into the pits after 3 laps on those soft compounded tyres. So as
Batman coming around the corner for his first time lap. Ado goes quickest again.
Yeah, Batman, goes 15th, but Hado 28.295. So really, really rapid. So RB looking strong early on, and it's about 3/10 to King Dogger, who's coming around the final corner. It was a few seconds down, so we'll be coming into the pit lane. So we got one of the Mercs, Donmore. Missed last week as well, so good to see Donmore out on track for their first time this season. Crosses the line to start their next flying lap. So we might take you around this 5.4 kilometre circuit coming into turn number 1. As a little bit of moment, needs a proper exit out of turn 2, a little kick of turn 3, second DRS zone on the track. And as you can see, we make our way up into turn number 4. So easily we can see side by side through there, but then we tighten up into this sort of S section 5, then turn 6, and actually he's backed off, so clearly made a mistake and wasn't happy with that first sector, so he'll back off and we'll go once again. So 6.5 minutes left, most drivers in the pit lane. Beng is about to cross the line. Can they improve? No, they can't, slightly down on their time. I think that was Batman crossing the line. Batman down half a second, goes into the top 7. So Ferrari looking strong. P2, P7, Tyrone P6. Our lone reserve for tonight, Oscar, finds themselves in the top 5 on a 29.258. Polo, who are you seeing out on track? A few of these guys just about to start one. Aussie in 19th. He's coming through the middle sector, so we'll see the second sector split now. Has got 7/10, but obviously 30.4. Actually, that will move them up close to the top 10, actually. So we'll...
Well, I'm board with Tyrone. He's just crossing the line now. He's actually gone faster than Dodger in the Ferrari by a few thousandths.
Yeah, nice lap from Tyrone. As we got Aussie crosses the line, goes P7. Great lap time, 29.288. I said that looked a good time to the second sector split and found some more time there as well. So good pace from the Red Bull, just a little bit quicker than his teammate down the race, about 3/10 behind, just keeping inside the top 10, but out on their next out lap. 5 minutes left to go. As we got Batman coming around the final corner, just behind the Haas of, I think, Broseph. So this will be his first run on the soft compounder tyre, did his first run on the mediums. So we'll follow Broseph, obviously, by TP this season. So went well last time out in Silverstone, had a little bit of contact with Ekoski going through Baggett's and Beckett's, and Ekoski picked up a 10-second time penalty from the stewards, the lone stewards report last week in Tier 3. So unfortunately for Ekoski, that moved him down to P15, dropped a couple of spots from that penalty. But Broseph looks solid. So as we come through turn number 8, see how the Haas goes. This tricky turn 9, turn 10. Nice line through there as we get to the back straight DRS. So if you get a good run out of turn 10, potentially an opportunity to go side by side down the inside as well at turn 11. And I think Brosep's actually backed off. We'll wait and see as they come through the second sector line. No, half a second up actually. So good luck from Broseph. We'll move them closer to the back end of the top 10. He's only got... It's 2 corners. It's 14 and 15, but I'm only really going to call it 1 corner. And that looked like a nice line there. Can Broseph move themselves up into the top 5? That's a great lap, 29.1. Just ahead of the teammate of J-Man.
That is really a good time. That's currently best of the rest, but everyone I believe is just in the pits gonna do set tyres. Going back out again. Probably changing the setup a tiny bit for a bit more performance. But since it's park frame, Ollie can change wing diff tyres and the brake bias.
And with 100% race, would you slightly change your setup in terms of obviously wanting a bit more maybe stability? Obviously, you're constantly sending laps around here. Obviously, fatigue will be a problem at the end. Would you want to be a little bit more stable, that you're not trying to fight the car for nearly an hour and a half? Or would you sort of, you want that sort of raw pace? For instance, if we do get a safety car towards the end.
I think for 100% race, the only thing you really need to change is your front wing and your diff at the start of the race, and then throughout the race you just turn it down to what it was before. Obviously with the front wing, don't know what P will be using, but I think on the setup I've seen people use them. They're on the max front wing already, so the only thing they can change is the diff.
Yeah, obviously that's sort of one thing that the drivers can obviously change. So it is interesting, obviously with quali, and obviously 100% race. Yes, you do want quali, you do want track position. Obviously to maybe avoid incidents early on in the race, but obviously it's that sort of long way to go that if you do have a bit of a poor quali, there's plenty of time for you to sort of catch up. We're watching Dan on that back straight. Just trying to get out of the way. A lot of guys obviously out on track. We've got 1:20 left on the clock, so you pretty much got to be on a hot lap now, otherwise you're... or out on track I should say, otherwise you're not making it to the line. So it's going to be whoever's got a clear space. You can see that track map is completely chock. There's only one car left in pit lane. So Tyrone feels comfortable in P2 at the moment. Junkyard about to start their final flying lap. So he might keep an eye on the top guys and just see how they're going in terms of time. J-Man's slightly up on their time as they go through turn 10. Dan has retired, so P10 at the moment, but may drop because that couple of drivers I reckon could push their way into the top 10. So we've got Zandon, I think it is. No, it's Basil. Crosses the line, goes into the top 5. That's your improvement. Track evolution as well. Zandon, the other Sauber, crosses the line and just meets his teammate, 28.9. Brosa splits the pair of them in P6. How are the top guys going? Hato's just starting their lap time purple in the first sector, so Hato trying to increase his lap time, or his gap to the top guys. J-Man, so it's Sauber, Haas, Sauber. How about Ikosi? Got a little bit of traffic and he's actually slightly down on their lap time. The reserve coming into the final sector, up by about a tenth and a half. That could push him towards the Haas Sauber group if they nail this final sector.
As they've just improved to P13 in the standings. So I know, I believe it's Williams coming across the line.
Yeah, I think it was Oscar coming across the line. Jesus, found a lot of time, goes up into the top 4. Second row at the moment. Aussie is done. Raw Dog, A-Dog goes into P13. I think that was Domwalk or Fat Eagle, sorry, goes into P16, but it's going to be Hato. Increases the gap slightly, 28.255. King Dogger rounding the final corner. And he's slightly down. I don't think it's going to be enough. No, lost about a second.
I believe he slowed down on the exit of the corner. I think he lost time on the entry.
Yeah, really unfortunate. T7 is done, but that's a great top 5. Broseph is done as well, so I think this is quali over as Batman has pulled off to let one of the other cars through. So yeah, that is fully done, and it's going to be the RV Hato picking up the pole position. I believe number 2. He got pole, I believe, last week in Silverstone. So Hato 2 for 2 in qualifying at the moment here in Tier 3. Great lap time. Covers Tyrone and King Dogger by about 0.3 of a second.
Yeah, it's just the reenactment of last week with qualifying. You see in the usual top 3. I believe Taiwan was top 3 last week. I'm not entirely certain, but we might see a fight between Dogger and Hato again like last week, which basically came down to the last lap of the race.
It was the same top 2. It was actually the reserve if shooter pinching that top 3. King Dogger was actually 4, so it's actually the same order. Hato, Tyrone, King Dogger, Jenneth, unfortunately, down in P20. We haven't spoken much about him, but unfortunately something from the rear of the field. But here is your quali results for our first Enduro for Tier 3. So it's Hato, pole position, Tyrone will line up alongside King Dogger, Oscar Piastri go, our lone reserve on the second row. T7, Zen plays, Broseph, Ikoski, J-Man, Parsifal round out our top 10. And then we have Aussie, Dan, A-Dog, Bang, Batman, Fat Eagle, Domwalk, Crowjag, and then lining up on our last row of the grid, we have Junkyard Dog and Janet Lee. So, few guys probably maybe a little bit out of position. Janet Lee as well. I don't think they would have been too happy with that quali, but we know what Janet can do in the races, so looking forward to see him come through. But as we get ready for this race, so a reminder, formation lap will not be on. So once we go to the grid, the lights will be on. Apollo, obviously a long race ahead, but who are we thinking could take out our second round for Tier 3?
I feel like on pure pace, if you just do pure pace, no strategy, Hados and Dogger fight this out to the end on pure pace, but strategy is gonna be a big thing. If you do a one stop, you're gonna be track position, but you're gonna be slow towards the end. If you do two stop, you're gonna be quick, and it's just the right time. Pick the right time, you get best benefit out of the tires. It's just how are you able to execute your strategy and your setup to the best of your ability.
Yeah, exactly right. And yeah, it's going to be a very interesting qualifying session. As I wish we had a timer so we know exactly how long we've got left. But obviously, tyre strategy, fuel, the guys will be just having a bit of a think about how they will go about it. As we do have the 5 red lights on as we start our Enduro round with Tier 3, lights out, we're underway, and it was a good start from Hato, but Tyrone had an equally good start as we make our way down into turn number 1. Tyrone down the inside, locks up a little bit, but able to still make the corner. Looks all clear at the back, a couple of guys running a little bit wide. Tyrone have a little bit of moment through turn 3, but it looks fairly clean throughout the field. Hato takes his lead back as you got King Dogger trying to hold it down the inside. And I think should get the move. It's hard as we got someone having a bit of a moment. I think it was one of the Williams.
Koski just having a bit of a swivel at the back between the masses of everyone. Kept it clean though.
And we go side by side with between Zandon and T7. So Zandon's the one making moves early on. As we come into the notorious turn 10. Side by side, the Red Bull nearly going all wheels off the track. But thankfully, looking clean. Aussie moves up a position ahead of the Haas of J-Man. Oh, that looked fairly close, J-Man. Having a bit of a Haas spin. Oh, got to be careful about the rejoin. Thankfully, avoids contact. Switch up the front, Hato half-second gap and increasing. So King Dogger and Tyrone have to try and stick with it. As you got Dan the Racer side by side with our reserve Oscar Piastri going. And gets the move done. So fairly clean race start. Hato fastest lap, and you can see the tyres. Hato's doing this on the hard compounded tyres as well. King Dogger, Tyrone on the mediums, and then the next 3 on the soft compounded tyres. Fat Eagle coming into the pit lane, so that must have been the car having the moment at turn 4, and that's a front wing change off the mediums. They will go. But Zanin looking quick on the Oscar. Obviously going the hard compounded tyre, just has to survive these first couple of first laps, just get some tyre temp into them, and they should be able to just slowly claw their way back up. As we got Dan Oscar still fighting, and Dan has done a yellow flag, and that's Fat Eagle out of pit lane. So obviously tried to cut the pit limiter and unfortunately just lit the rears up a little bit too much. Thankfully we remain green flag racing, so no need for a VSC or a full safety car.
Dodger is all over the back of Hato at the moment.
Yeah, and definitely needed to. You can't afford to sort of fight Tyrone and let the leader get away. We saw that in Tier 2 last weekend. In Silverstone, the letter P just bolted when the pack behind was just battling hard. So it's going to be a bit of a DRS train, but I think these guys will know that we got 57 laps. You don't need to rush a move on lap 2 or lap 3 because we've got another hour and a half of racing left to go. But King Dogger does want to take the lead. Zandon's going to be the quickest driver on track, 33.652. But we're going to have a new race leader, and it's going to be the car in red. Oh, as Hato tries to stick a nose down the inside. We've got a battle pack of 5. Thankfully, we've all made it through the first 3 corners safely. And it's going to be the soft runners that really want to try and get a bit of a hurry on. DRS obviously activated at the start of last lap. What do you see?
Getting very close to Tyrone's rear. That was almost contact.
Oh, and he
made a mistake.
Yeah, had a poor line through there, but managed to recover it well. Tyrone actually has to go a little bit deep on the inside, and that affects his exit at turn 8. So he does.
That's DRS gone.
Yeah, and this T7 trying to stick it around the outside, most certainly does. and that's going to affect Tyrone's line through here, and Xander gets past the Alpine. So,
And that brings the whole pack behind back in the DRS. This is
yeah.
great.
Yeah, great battling, but it allows the top two to get away. Tyrone just needs to settle down. He's not back past Xander, obviously, due to DRS. He just needs to settle Xander around the outside. Or gets onto the curb. That probably is a warning. As we go side by side, look to be a little bit of a squeeze on the inside of 13, but thankfully all the drivers are there. But you now got the two Red Bulls on the back, as both of them are covering each other, trying to get past. Dan the racer wants to get that P5 Tyrone. He hasn't had a chance to settle in this last minute and a half. As King Dogger, fastest lap on those medium tyres, trying to push, but it's going to be Hato. Sends a move down the inside.
And at the same time, Xander's sending one down the inside of Salmon's as Tyrone tried to go around the outside.
Tyrone didn't have the best exit through 2 and 3, so look for Dan to take the move at turn 4. But it's going to be still a battle for the lead. Hato and King Dogger side by side. Hato should get the move, but that Ferrari, will they back off? They have to with the outside line. T7's in P3s, needs to sort of, he wants the top two to keep fighting to try and catch back up. As Xander completely off the track, that's a 3-second time penalty, and there's contact between him and Dan the racer. Hopefully Dan hasn't picked up any damage from that. But great racing we're seeing so far.
Yeah, and all that, Dan got past Tyrone at turn 4, just better braking, soft tires, more grip.
Yeah, obviously
then the contact with Xander.
Yeah, Xander, I know, has been getting a lot of training, trying to improve his racecraft. His speed has massively increased on this game. He's trying to use a lot of the track and to sort of perfect his line to try and gain the most time. So he's still sort of learning, as you can sort of see. He's half of the racetrack, just trying to get better turning and line through corners. So he's still in the learning progress, but it's got to be good to see how Xander does go. And he's looking for a move on T7s. As you got the battle for King Dogger and Hato into turn 1 as well. We're lap 5 of 57. Action aplenty in this first opening portion of the race. Side by side, we've got a collision. No, Mercedes at the back. I think that's a half spin on their own. But Hato and King Dogger DRS down this particular straight. So you may lose the position at turn 1, but if you're the car behind, you do get DRS to fight back, as it's getting very close between the RB and the Ferrari. And again, the Ferrari has to get set around the outside, and this has allowed T7s and Xander to really catch back up. And now the top 10 drivers have DRS, and J-Man is actually clawing his way back through. So down to 14th is now DRS train.
I don't think these guys realize this is a 100% race. That driver line is a 50. There's so much battling, so many dives.
Hato trying to go around. Sorry, it was King Dogger going down the inside. Gets the job done, but we're going to go side by side through turn 12. Little bit of lag on my end, but it's going to be Hato a little bit compromised, taking a tighter line through 13. So it will hurt their run. King Dogger may have to make a move to try and actually cover off the guy behind, and that's T7's. And King Dogger had to get the move. I think Hato sort of just let off the throttle a little bit so he could get DRS down this start-finish straight. We're about to start lap 6 in and already up into the top 3. And we'll potentially like to have a move on the 2 in front. But it's going to be Hato down the inside, and that's a late move down the inside for T7's. Manages to just pull it up, but there's
there's wing damage.
Yeah, so
that's Vanden's.
Yeah, just light contact, and that will affect Xander. And he's on the slot compounder tyre, so at least he's on the tyre that wasn't going to go super long into this first stint. So it's now going to be a case of can Xander actually have pace to actually close or to stay with this top group. Probably needs him to fight to keep fighting, but it hasn't been it's been great action up front, and Xander's been a lot of that as well, but unfortunately the penalty already and front wing damage just hasn't quite gone his way. But as I said, we'll keep an eye on the delta times between those guys. The two Red Bulls looking good in P5, P6. Tyrone's settled. He's down in P7. He's got Broseph and Bang behind him. Jay just rounding out our top 10. And then Oscar on the hard compounded tyres. Obviously, he started up there in P4 as we've got a spin, and that's passable. Thankfully avoids the wall, but takes out a little bit of the advertising boarding. But has recovered back into P13, has lost a spot. So he's now unfortunately lost touch with the top group, unfortunately. As we'll head back to our front group, it's going to be Hato that will cross the line to start lap 7, but I don't think he's going to be leading it out of turn number 1, and that's going to be King Dogger already past the RB. Oh, I thought T7 was going to try the late move. Oh, he actually did. There's contact again between him and Zandon. And Zandon actually cuts the corner. Another 3-second time penalty.
Oh, here comes Dan. It's 3 wide.
Yeah, Dan. Oh, he didn't quite get the exit he wanted, and he's got to be careful because the Red Bulls got very, very close together. Fantastic action, and these two are still battling. King Dogger for the 3rd time that we sent in the last 5 laps, sent around the outside and not be able to do it. As we got Zed
has gone around.
Yeah, so unfortunately for the Wooms driver, and he's 3 disqualified. He's obviously tried to flick spin it potentially, and the game has disqualified him. So it's been a bit of a nightmare for both Wooms drivers. Fat Eagle is the lone Wooms left, and is very close to being lapped. He will need a safety car very shortly because he would not want to be a lap behind. If you get a lap behind at this stage, you can pretty much call your race over. But
but points go all the way down to last place with endurance races. So just finishing the race does a lot.
Well, it's definitely yeah, top 15 get points, and obviously double points obviously being an enduro round as well, so it is going to be a little bit of an attrition race. So if you can hang in there, definitely points in, and obviously struggling with that front wing damage will come into the pits, so he'll have a bit of clean air, and maybe he might get a decent undercut just due to the fact that these guys are battling so hard. And it's King Dogger up into P1 again, but again it's going to be the RB that will try and send the move this time around the outside. Turn 4, it was actually a nice one from King Dogger, and now it's going to be the RB around the outside, but just had the extra speed, so King Dogger can make the move at turn 1, but he can't hold it going into these particular corners. He just loses it either at turn 4 or just gets pushed out at turn 5, so great respect from these two, however. Pretty much they've been side by side at least a couple of times each lap, and we haven't had contact yet, so fair play to these two, and it's allowing the guys behind T7s. Both Red Bulls are looking really good to score some hefty points, and I think they'll just be happy to sort of let the top 3 battle at the moment.
Yeah, after last week, they were a bit disappointed with being at the opposite end of the points. So this, at the moment, being 4th or 5th is probably boosting that confidence in the car a bit more.
Exactly.
Side by side. I don't know if he's gone wide. He's gone wide on the braking.
And he won't get DRS as well, so he's going to be vulnerable to multiple cars. The Aston surely will get past, and watch Dan as well. But we're going to go 3 wide. Crojack picks up a 3-second time penalty. It's going to be T7s who leads the race for the first time going into turn number 1 on those soft compounded tyres. So looking good.
Down the inside of Aussie. Aussie fighting back though.
Yeah, it was a great fight back as we still head up the front, nearly 2 by 2. And Hato again takes the lead into turn 4. T7s.
That's around, and he's hit the wall.
Oh, he tried the switchback, didn't quite work out, and that is an end plate gone. Just got to be careful about the rejoin. Thankfully they have. Oh, T7's first time he took the lead. Hato obviously sending the move down the inside. The switchback looked nice at the start, but just a little bit too excitable on the throttle. And unfortunately that's T7 will have to come in for a wing change. Meanwhile, his teammate Bang up into P6, dropping to P7 as we nearly go 3 wide out of turn number 10.
Still side by side with J-Man. J-Man sending it down the inside though. Are they going to stay side by side? No, looks like as if has more pace around the outside.
Yeah, I think J-Man Be interesting to see how the soft runners are actually going. Obviously, lap 9 of 57, about to start lap 10. So you'd figure that at least the medium should be feeling better. Hado's hards. I'm just wondering if we start seeing Hado's hards get in a little bit of a nice window for himself, because he's actually broken this top pack a little bit. It's about half a second. And Dan Broseph, they're out of DRS from the next cars behind. Oh, I thought that was getting close from Aussie running up the rear of Broseph.
I don't think they'll be able to catch it unless the top three fight very hard. Both P4, 5 both have left and or right end plate damage on both cars. Aussie kind of switched back on Broseph.
Yeah, Broseph went a little bit deep. I think J-Man's had a little bit of a spin at the back, but Broseph actually managed to hold it, but he's going to be compromised going into turn 8. Always that's going to be slight contact between Beng and Tyrone. Tyrone was trying to think about a move down the inside, but Beng obviously trying to do the exact same. So we remain in this little battle pack, and pretty much is allowing the top three to get away. Gap two and a bit seconds behind Dan now, as we just see the Alpine just get from out of the wing of the Red Bull, but no move doing at turn 11. We pretty much need to be completely side by side on the inside to actually get that move done. So Broseph leads this pack for P4, then holding and doing a nice job just behind DRS. Meanwhile, could we go 3 wide into the final corner? It's going to be moved down the inside for Beng. That will compromise his line, will compromise Aussie's line, as we do have Broseph in. We've got Aussie in, so those soft compounder tyres are only going 10 laps. So obviously this is the strategic stop. Soft tyres go off, medium tyres, no, hard tyres, sorry, go on to Aussie. Broseph goes on to hard, so hard looking to be the solid second stint tyre. I'm just wondering if that was a bit of a wing change for Broseph as well, because he's lost a whole bunch of time. So I think that was...
Yeah, so Broseph did change his wing. Aussie decided not to. So he's probably comfortable. He did get damaged last week as well. It doesn't actually seem to affect that car that much, depending on end plate and how much it actually is. So it might just be light green.
Yeah, unfortunate for Broseph. So that's fallen him down behind Zandon after he had to come in for wing damage. Zandon actually not too far in front of Broseph. So Zandon, in terms of where he is compared to the top guys, still fighting for that battle. But again, looking at the penalties, obviously we're still early on in the race. Grosjean with 3, but Zandon already with 6 seconds worth of penalties. He'll need to just sort of calm that down. Otherwise, if we do get that late safety car, he's sort of going to be just fed to the back, unfortunately. So we'll have to be a little bit careful. We're looking at Beng. So he's now leading the second train. We'll see if they can start closing in on Dan the Racer. As we've got a few just staying out, as we do have somebody joining us. That would be the Battle Cat.
The Ferrari team principal has joined.
Yeah, and one of your Ferrari drivers looking really good, as we got Parzival and Junkyard fighting side by side through turn number 1. Parzival around the outside will get a better run, but DRS does go for the Alpine. So Junkyard, watch Jeneth as well. Jeneth, remember, starting from the rear of the field up into P10, but obviously has not made their pit stop. And these three will stay as they are, P8, P9, P10, Oscar and Beng. So Beng, I think, has had a little moment through the S section, and that's allowed Oscar on those hard tyres. I'm just wondering if those hards are just feeling a little bit better, and those mediums are starting to drop off. Only lap 12 of 57, so if the mediums and the hards are starting to struggle now, could be a bit of an issue, as that's J-Man nearly into the left-hand side barrier. Thankfully just saves it. That's not the first time we've seen that Haas nearly find themselves into a wall, so J-Man really struggling with those soft tyres, and should surely find the Haas into the pits very shortly. But we do have Battle Cat in here. Battle Cat.
Yep. Good evening, boys. How we doing?
Good. Obviously, sort of had to interrupt because of that battle, but King Dogger looking really strong in P2 at the moment, having a great battle with Hato. Do you think you can find him at the end with this pace, or do you think Hato's hards maybe just starting to kick in now a little bit?
Yeah, I think he started off with the hards. I thought King Dogger would pass him and pull away, but he hasn't done that. So staying with him. But the hards, I think if he's got the pace in the hards, I think he's doing good. But they're pulling away from P3, so working together, I think they're up for a podium, both of them. So looking good for Ferrari.
Yeah, and as I said, long race. We know Batman obviously ultra consistent, as we know currently in P12. Plenty of time to get back into this one, as we see Junkyard, Jonathan Zan, and Puzzle, in P10. Puzzle losing a couple of spots. So nice little trio here. Battlecat, obviously your race tomorrow night. How are you feeling with yourself, and obviously how has sort of the whole Ferrari team felt, obviously coming into Bahrain Endurance? Bit of a love-hate relationship, I know, with a few drivers around here. How are you guys feeling? Obviously, not only tonight, but for the rest of the weekend.
Yeah, so a bit of a love-hate. So I think for Tier 2 tomorrow, just the strategy with the tyres, I'm still throwing that around in my head. I know we missed in a driver in Q1 on Sunday, so looking to hopefully get a reserve there. But yeah, I think it's another good weekend of points, I think. So hopefully we can maintain that P1 position in the championship.
Yeah, obviously you guys leading the overalls at the moment. A strong, solid first round. As we'll have a look at Tyrone on those medium tyres on board, looking at being into turn number 1. Won't have anything done there. Jenna gets past Junkyard even before the braking zone, so we'll take the racing line into turn number 1. Lap 14 of 57. So we're getting close to a third race distance, and we should see these soft runners, maybe these mediums, in within the next 5 to 10 laps. And should see them on the next stint. Zandon past Aussie. Zandon obviously picking up a 3-second time penalty while we were talking to battle.
That Eagle's actually going around turn 9 exit, hit the wall.
Yeah, and obviously sort of in a bit of a dangerous position. He'll get the warning to move, but obviously the big train ahead doesn't want to do an unsafe rejoin. He should be able to move now.
He's still... Oh, he might get DSQ'd like his
and
teammate he has.
So both Williams disqualified. That is 0 points for Williams in Tier 3.
Oh, guys, car's got to rejoin.
Oh, he should be good. Should be good now, but that's really unfortunate for Williams. Obviously, just having spins on their own, not really their fault. They were trying. Fatty was doing nothing wrong. He was trying to wait for a safe place to rejoin. Games disqualified him, and as you can see at the bottom of your screen, both Williams, unfortunately, out of this one. So. Yeah, real big shame. Obviously, Legend, he really won't want to have a look at this race. Probably not a lot that he can sort of take out of it, but yeah, really unfortunate. So we'll wish them well next week in Hungary. Meanwhile, back at the front, the top 2 still closing in. I think King Dogger just happily sitting within DRS. Dan himself running very nicely P3, sort of on his own now. 4-second gap out front. 3-second gap, or nearly 4-second gap behind him. So looking strong.
Yeah, the guys at the front are looking good. I think they definitely don't want a safety car there. They're pulling away from the guys in front. So hopefully I can continue with that. But I'll leave you to it, boys. I might join you a little bit later, but have a good call. I know it's a long one, so thanks for jumping in the comment box.
Cheers. Thanks for hopping in, Battle Cap. Hopefully your team goes well, Apollo. Obviously, lap 15. Sort of it's settled down. Obviously, we sort of had a 5 lap open lobbies at the start without many crashes. Yeah. We've settled down. So how are these guys sort of playing? And obviously on the mediums, on the hards, just trying to nurse these tyres potentially to their next stint.
At this moment, I think the top 2 of what they're doing is just trying to nurse these as far as they can go. As I said to the Red Bull guys before, I actually encouraged them to start soft, so they both did. They got good pace, good position out of it, and basically told him as soon as the tire starts to feel a little bit bad, just come in. Because there's no point in just staying out and lose more time. Dan just looks like he wants to extend this. Probably try for a double medium because I believe the 2-stop is quicker on this track, but these guys might be pushing for 1. I think if this was a 50, this is the time you would pit. As King Dogger is actually sliding
Ooh.
quite a lot.
Yeah, he does. Hato trying to go down the inside at turn 8, but it will be the better traction for the Ferrari driver. So these two still having a decent scrap. Obviously, King Dogger not that strong through 5, 6, and 7. Left him vulnerable, but Hato trying to get the move done down the inside at turn 11. And should already have it. Oh, King Dogger thought about the switch back. Good closing of the door from the RB. But these two starting to crack on just a little bit. Obviously, the medium tyres go on 15 laps. If you started on the hards, do you even think about a chance doing the 1 stop, or do you just play it safe and do 2 stops?
I don't know how much people would have got tired there for this race, but I'm at this point. This is actually giving more information to the tier 2 guys that are going to be happening tomorrow, and the tier 1 that's happening on Sunday. So, considering that the medium and hard tires are basically same pace, I would say as someone's had a spin somewhere.
I think that was the Merc coming through turn 11, probably just at half spin. I don't think they would have hit the wall. That would have been Krojag, I believe, because Oscar was far beyond that point. So Krojag just having a little bit of a moment.
Yeah, so going back to tires, at this point, I believe medium soft, or not medium soft, medium harder tend about the same pace wise, but the lower the fuel goes, the less tire wear that these guys are gonna have. So they're probably pushing these as far as they can go, so they have less fuel on the new tire they put on.
Yeah, in saying that though, a couple of the medium runners did come in and box onto the hard compounded tyre, so the hard's obviously the favoured strategy for this middle stint at least. A-Dog's gone onto the mediums at the back of this little pack, as you can see on your mini-map coming into turn 4 now. But Brosa, Aussie and J-Man, they were together just before the first round of pit stops, and obviously, Broseph having a front wing change, but has still come out ahead of his teammate. Oh, sorry, he's come out just behind his teammates. Apologies. But obviously, that gap's still very close. Sauber in P10 and P14 as Fadiga unfortunately leaves the session. And as I said, a shocking night, unfortunately, for Williams, both getting disqualified for trying to do the right thing and wait for a safe place to rejoin, but the game's decided to disqualify them. King Dogger in P1 leading us on lap 18. You've got Beng and Oscar into turn number 1. And I think it's Beng that was making the move, a little bit of a touch from the Merc. As we make our way up into turn number 4, does Oscar send the move down the inside? No, they will wait. Maybe try and get a sneaky switch back. No, Beng was a little bit too strong. So, top 9 yet to stop. Krojak, the 10th driver as well. So, obviously the medium's doing it. Actually, fair shout out to Dan as well. Soft compounded tyres, they've gone 17 laps. Same as Jetta, 17 laps on the soft compounded tyres. That's actually interesting that they're able to manage those tyres quite well.
Yeah, considering that it's lap 17 and he's still got 2 drivers on the softs, that's actually quite impressive. And Dan's actually not losing time to the Aston in 4th. He's actually keeping that gap nice and steady. He's only losing time to the top 2, which is DRS swapping, which is common with this game. And since DRS is that powerful, you don't really need to push it that hard. But yeah, considering that Dan hasn't lost any time on the surface, as I say that, he's actually pitting right now for a new set of tyres.
So it'd be interesting to see what set of tyres Dan does go on to. So I'd imagine a hard, maybe he might go soft, medium, soft if he's taken soft 17 laps. Might be a better strategy as you got Oscar getting into the top 3 now ahead of the Aston Martin behind. So So it's Oscar leads Bang, leads Tyrone, leads Jenneth, leads Junkyard in this pack of 5. As we get close to lap 20 of 57, we're pretty much at the 1/3 race distance.
Trying to be close. Okay, so Dan, who just pitted before, he's actually switched to the medium compound, so I expect another stop for the Red Bull driver. Probably another medium.
Be very interested to see if not, well, actually, probably, it'd be interesting to see how sort of Dan managed that, because obviously, all important that he's come out ahead of this big pack, because that's what they needed to do. If he got stuck in that train, he would have been partly screwed. So, thankfully, did that. Obviously, Sam. Be interested to see if Sam's actually got anybody sort of, if they got any engineers that were sort of keeping an eye on the stream gaps, but. Great pit stop from Dan on the medium tyres. We'll see how quickly they can go. Meanwhile, back at the front. Sorry, go.
16-second gap. I believe gap for pit lane is about 20, if I'm not mistaken. 26? 26? Yeah, 26 seconds. So I think at this point where Dan is sitting, he's most likely about it. He'll just jump straight back to P3 as everyone does their next pit stop.
Yeah, sorry, I was looking at Oscar. He's gonna go the switchback, trying around the outside at turn 1. Didn't happen, but he got a better run through turns 2 and 3. And with DRS, should easily have this move unless Beng tries to send it down the inside. Thankfully, backs out of it a little bit. So Oscar retakes P3, but they're now 10 seconds behind the top 2. So this battling's good to watch, but they've just losing touch a little bit. And we've got T7's passing Crowjag, who has stopped and jumping onto the hard compound tyres and getting a new front wing for measure. So Crowjag, new hard, so definitely not in danger of being lapped, which is good to see. So 18 drivers still running. We've lost the 2 Williams. Everybody's still on the lead lap. We're getting close to half race distance. I believe it's 29 laps, I think, for a 50% around here. So normally we'd only have 9 laps to go, but then we've got another race ahead of us. As you can see, it is full darkness now. And it is Hato leading King Dogger by just under that 1 second. King Dogger just has to try and stick within DRS. Because looking at it, King Dogger may be on the better tyres, 20 laps. It's interesting. Jenneth finally comes in, 20 laps on no soft compounded tyres. I reckon he'll try and meet him to the end now. Great
that's going to be
Jenneth.
hard. Yeah, no, he's going hards.
Oh, hard. Yeah, hards, but yeah, hards should get him to the end. So soft hard could actually be a nice strategy.
But then this comes to the point that I mentioned at the start of the race, or I mentioned in qualifying, is what do you do towards the end of the race when you're losing time? And you know if you put new tyres on, you will be quicker. So it's really a mind game when you get towards the end of the race, more of a strategy.
And see, that's the thing. You've got to make your call early. If you're going to come in for softs, you've got to actually give yourself time to actually use them. Or jump onto a medium and actually give them time to use them, because if you come in 3 laps ago, you've lost all that time anyway, so you've got to make the call early. But again, we've been safety car free. We have not seen a safety car yet, even though we have seen a couple of cars into the wall losing front wings. We have remained green, so it could be about fatigue, because we haven't had a slow, or as a sort of jinxed it. Parzival, he's hit the wall, he's got no front wing. Do we keep it green? We do. Thankfully moves out of the way of the Aston. Apollo, what I might get you to do, just check the settings. Safety car should be on, but I'm just interesting to know if it is, or if we've just been sort of lucky that we haven't actually had a VSC or a full safety car.
Yeah, so safety car is on reduced, so we're just getting extremely lucky.
Tyres back up. I did switch it to the penalties, because then it's up to 12 seconds worth of penalties, unfortunately. So he desperately does not want a safety car. He wants this field spread out as much as possible to not dropping as we got the two Haas's side by side. Are they both trying to get past the McLaren? And it's got to be Barossa down the inside of both. The Red Bull takes advantage as well, so that's Stonewall losing 3 positions, but again, hasn't stopped yet, so I think that was a smart play. Obviously 10 laps older than Aussie, and then you look at it, 15 laps ahead of J-Man, so Stonewall just trying to stick it out, hasn't stopped yet.
Just the nose. So King Dogger did decide to pit. He's actually put on the soft tyre for his next stint.
That's an interesting call. I would have thought you would have gone mediums, unless King Dogger's going to go soft. Because it's an interesting call that he went softs, unless he wasn't meant to put softs on, but it's an interesting call that you put softs on now. Surely you'd try and make that your last stint if possible.
I believe he's doing medium, soft, medium, because in qualifying he did only do 2 runs.
Yes, that's
so he
true.
does have a fresh set.
This is an interesting call. What does Hato do? Hato stays out for another lap, but he's going to lose a whole chunk of time being on old hard. Does Hato just keep going with the strategy that he's on? Because Hato will see King Dogger's gone on the softs.
Yeah, so at this point in the Delta, he will see it. Now, he's on softs. And at this point, if Hato pits now, he's already lost about 7 seconds.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting strategy because, again, Hato, it's 22 laps, same as Oscar. But if those hards are really starting to drop off, you're not going to get mediums 34 laps either. So you're looking at the 2-stop. Just interesting to see if he does it. Yeah. Looking at Aussie. Down the inside of turn 4. Barossa tries hanging around the outside. And I think that's a done move from the Red Bull up into the top 7. So good battle between this group of cars as well. So Red Bull, Haas, looking on to score some really good points. Ferrari, King Dogger, about 18, 19 seconds off the race lead at the moment, so he's already got the undercut on the RB. So
I'm just wondering if that was his own call or Battlecat has called that one and told him to go softs. Because Aussie still goes side by side.
Possibly. Saw that little message in the chat that he's just put in. So for Hato, to 1 stop. So obviously King Dogger's doing 2. But as I said, down to 18.4 seconds now. And as he sets the fastest lap of the race, 31.674. Obviously, we won't look to fastest lap until probably the end when we got low fuel and someone boxes for a cheeky soft run late on. But field gap's just starting to spread out a little bit. Got a bit of traffic on the start-finish straight, and it is led by Barossa, who just doesn't quite have the speed from his teammate ahead. As we got Jenneth obviously on the new hard compound tyres near Tyrone as well. P11 and 12. As I said that he was struggling to keep ahead of keep with his teammate. That is Barossa off into the gravel. Looks like he's got his front wings, so thankfully he has avoided the wall.
Surprisingly, Aussie is actually keeping pace with the drivers ahead of him with missing end plate, so it might not be affecting much. Even with the high fuel load.
Yeah, meanwhile, J-Man and Zandon going side by side out of turn 10. So Zandon obviously boxing early because of front wing damage. And obviously he's out of sync a little bit with the guys around him except for Aussie. So J-Man, fairly easy move. J-Man on the freshest tyres around him. That was in that mid-pack.
Dan the racer, when he boxed, he was in the second of Zand, and after 5 laps, he's already pulled out 6 seconds to the grid behind him.
Yeah, so he's done really well. But if you can have a look, he might have gained to the guys behind, but that's sort of the pace of King Dogger as well. That he's actually 11 seconds behind. So he's actually lost time to the leader. So without having DRS, he's just unfortunately lost touch. So it is probably more than likely going to be a battle of 2. But again, it depends on strategy. Ben goes up into the top 7, getting past Aussie. And Janet and Tyrone. Tyrone, I think, nearly cut the inside corner. Couldn't get the job done. So Janet just behind his teammate. And remember, Janet started from rear of the field. We'll have a look at that position changes now for everybody at home. So obviously a couple of drivers yet to make pit stops, but Janet is your biggest mover, up 10. Dom Moore up 8. He's one that hasn't stopped. Bang up 7 has stopped. Dan the Racer has stopped as well, up 8. So Dan's probably the biggest mover, like right up there in contention for a podium. So shout out to him, shout out to Janet as well for moving. Obviously T7's biggest loser. We saw him have that moment early on in the race. And obviously getting that front wing changed at turn 4 with that moment, trying to do the switch back on Hato. So T7's running at P15, but yeah, just really unlucky because he had paced the pace tonight. So obviously he's hoping for a safety car to try and join back in as King Dogger. Bit of clear air, 31.473, and that gap has been cut by about 7-8 seconds now since that pit stop. So down to 12. So I think Hato now needs to stretch his to a 1-stop because he's just lost way too much time on those hard compounded tyres.
At this point, yeah, I could say Stretcher 1-stop because at the moment he's going. If he pits now, he's 10 seconds behind. He's actually going to be almost behind Dan, I think, by the time he gets out of the pit lane. Yeah, so I think stretching this will be the best course he's going. I think Oscar's also doing the same thing since he's stayed out so far. He's going to try and stretch this to a 1-stop. But you could also, like, I don't know how far they'll stretch it, because softs don't really last long, as we saw from the first stint. I think it was only 15 laps, 16 they went the furthest.
Yeah, it's interesting. You can see some guys obviously able to keep the tyres sort of in the window and keeping the wear down, whereas others sort of just were sort of burning them out. So interesting to see how Hato's hards are going. It'd be interesting to get a tyre wear update. So it'd be very interesting. I've got a couple of tyre wear figures that I can see, but I can't really see any of the top 3. So, but J-Man doing an alright job. He's got Zenon and Bang right behind, so I think this fight's going to get a little bit scrappy. So,
I think
okay.
I think Xanden's tyres might have gone through that phase, because these tyres do have a phase where they do go slow for a bit and then they pick back up. So Zan might have gone through that tyre phase, which Hato might be going through at the moment as well at the front. As Xanden actually gets almost switched back by J-Man at turn 1.
As we go side by side, and J-Man switchbacks on, and Zenon does get the move ahead, but obviously Bang got the big opportunity to get past both of them. So Bang up into the top 5, obviously on the freshest hard compounded tyre. So we'll see if they can push ahead to maybe start closing that gap on Dan. Dom Moore picks up a 3-second time penalty. And is Dom in yet? No. And I think Dom's the only one apart from Hato and Oscar that has yet to stop. So interesting to see how they go. Probably doing the 1-stop as well. Maybe hoping for a cheeky safety car to get that free pit stop. Because you'd imagine safety car now, a lot of these drivers will be in for a fresh set of softs. Oh, sorry, a fresh set of tyres, maybe mediums.
I think Hato's in a bit of trouble here, because King Dodger is catching him very quickly. Down to 7 seconds, or sub 7 seconds now, for the battle for the lead. Even if Hato does commit to a 1-stop, I don't think Hato can fend off Dogger on softs.
Yeah, it's going to be tough now. So, as I said, but then again, those softs, it'd be interesting to see how he's sort of managed them, as well as Xander gets back past Bang into turn number 1. As you got, I think, Tyrone and Dom swapping positions. So Xander around the outside at turn 4, trying to hold position, does just that. So in P5, but again, Xander's got, I think, 12 seconds worth of penalties. So sort of not really in this fight with the two behind him, just because he'll lose a lot of positions as they cross the line.
Yeah, just as a battle cap pointed out in chat about the gap. Yeah, so King Dodger, only been 6 1/4 or 6 3/4 of a lap, and he's already closed up 20 seconds to Hato on those halves. So that just shows the pace that the softs have, which I believe some tier 2 guys who might be watching the stream are taking this into account for their race tomorrow. Maybe some tier 1 people.
Yeah, it's definitely good knowledge, and especially because if we do have green flag racing all the way, it's good to see which strat works. So again, we're still poised because, as I said, Hato and Dogger might come in at the exact same point anyway to jump onto their final set of compounds. And as I said, neither driver has used well, Hato hasn't used the mediums. King Dogger, if he's got another set of mediums, can chuck them on. As Ben gets past Zand and going. Oh, Zand brakes a
that's
little bit
wing
too
damage.
late. Runs into the back of the Aston, and that's another end plate gone from the Sauber. So Zand, if he wanted to stay out a little bit longer, unfortunately won't be able to because he's going to have to get that front wing changed, and may potentially, unless he's got another set of hard compounded tyres, may have to go mediums towards the end of this one, and it's still 28 laps left to run in this one.
Yeah, at this point, it's, if you get end plate damage midway through a race, especially at this time, it's kind of you're screwed. You're damned if you pit, damned if you don't. You just lose too much time.
Yeah, we sort of see a little bit of a wiggle from Jenneth, I think, trying to make his way through on the Red Bull of Aussie. And as I said, Jenneth's in a really good spot at the moment. I thought potentially move at turn 11. But Jenneth was definitely the one that was sort of out of position. Qualified P4 or 5 last time out, and had a strong race, but qualifying last, as I said, he's had plenty of time. Yellow flag, that is Krojag into the wall.
Now,
No, sorry, just a spin. Thankfully, the wall's a little bit far away, so just a spin from Krojag. But unfortunately, that now means he's now a lapped car. So
so Xander chose not to pit. He was gonna fake it. He was gonna pit, and then he decided to stay out.
Yeah, obviously, just thought about it and maybe hoping for a safety car. Maybe not comfortable to try and get a set of mediums. 27 laps, so he might try and extend this hard, maybe another 5-6 laps like he did on the soft compounded tyres, just to sort of help his strategy and his tyres at the end. But gap out front, it's close to 2.5, so that's gap really closing. But yeah, should be interesting. Devastator, good to see you. Speed, some really good action at the moment in this one. Obviously, slowed down a little bit in this middle section, but with the way the strategies are, I reckon we're going to start picking this back up towards the last 20 laps. But again, big thank you to everyone that's joining us. I think we topped 40 viewers as well. So again, big thank you, very much appreciate all of you watching. And so these, even though this is tier 3, we've seen incredible side-by-side action, especially early on. And we've got an awesome fight for the race lead because we feel both these two have to make another pit stop. Hados most certainly does. King Dogger's not making 9 laps. Not making softs another 30 laps, and the gap is 1.5 seconds. So he's close that pit stop gap. That 20 seconds is gone just like that. And Hado, he's going to have to stick to that one stop, and it's now in King Dogger's court as Zan comes into the pit lane to change that front wing, and will take, you'd imagine, medium tyres to the end of this one now. You've got a few more guys actually following him in as well, Dom Moore, off those 30-lap-old hards, and I think that was A-Dog as well that's boxed. As Krojag's retired, unfortunately, so third retirement, that's in pit lane. So we won't see a VSC or a SC. So we've lost our third driver, Krojag, just unfortunate. Obviously got lapped. after having that spin at turn 4, and obviously, unfortunately, has called it a day. So hopefully we can see Crojo back next week in Hungary for Tier 3. Obviously, your standard 50% around the Hungaroring next week. But
As here goes King Dodger on the main straight,
yeah, that was
taking the lead.
easy move. And as I said, it'd be interesting to see how King Dogger's tyres are. Obviously, the fuel level's going down, so that will help the tyre wear. And King Dogger takes the lead, lap 32 or 57. We've got 26 laps left to go. And now Haydo has to stick with the Ferrari, but I don't know if he's got any tyres left to sort of fight with. Just losing time hand over fist, and it's got to be this middle sector that he's going to probably lose a lot of time. But I'm just starting to see that. I'm starting to see that Ferrari slide around a little bit. So those softs aren't exactly going to be fresh. And I think if Haydo can just stick with DRS, trying to at least make it to at least a similar lap time to King Dogger. Both of them stop for a new set of compounded tyres, and yeah, fight should be on. Oscar Piastri, meanwhile, up into P3, doing a really good job on those hard tyres as well. I think we'll come out probably around the bottom end of the 10, but we'll be on much fresher tyres. And I have a feeling all those hard runners will still have to stop. I don't see a lot of those guys taking their hards 35 laps.
As Devastator McLaren team principal is joined.
Good to see. Yeah, doing well. Your guys doing good. Oh, we got Haydo coming in before. We'll just interrupt. So Haydo has made the call to come in. So I'd imagine a medium compounded tyre for 25 laps. So he'll get the undercut on King Dogger because those softs won't be that great. So King Dogger, you'd imagine, will have to try and come in out. Unless his tyres are still really good, I would come in, put on a set of medium tyres if he's got a second set, and bring this fight to the RB. But we'll wait and see. We've got about a minute or so to actually know what's going to happen. But we'll have a chat to Devastator. Your driver's currently in P7, P14. Obviously, Don Moore just coming into the pits for their first stop. Jenna's doing a really, really good job starting from the rear of the field up into P7 and closing in on J-Man and Bang Battle.
You know, definitely happy where they're sitting at the moment. Obviously, with Don Moore just coming in now, he's got to have those fresh tyres for the next stint. Don't think they've overly spoke to me about their strategies for tonight, but they're working together. I know that for a fact. So yeah. Other than that, yeah, main thing about tonight, told them bring it home with the Enduro. Obviously, the double points on offer. Main thing is making sure, obviously, the car gets across the finish line. So yeah, as long as they do that, I'll be happy on my end.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Oh, was that contact between Haydo and Oscar? I don't know, but Haydo needed to get the move done. Has done just that, but I reckon Oscar might try and fight him back. He'll have DRS.
I think he's done the move a bit too early because Oscar can just have DRS overtake, get him on the straight.
It was a bit of a poor, to be fair, it was a bit of a poor exit from Oscar there. On board with the Mercedes driver. Does he send the move down the inside? No, he doesn't. So we'll sit back. So gap 23.8 seconds. We reckon about 25, 26 seconds for a pit stop. So Bill Haddo could come back out. But if you're King Dogger, surely you have to come into cover because you really don't want to be on the same tyre as Haydo and then try and have to close down about a 10-second gap. So I think Ferrari strategy team. Obviously, I know Battlecat's probably engineering, probably thinking of ways to sort of try and keep this hunt, but cannot afford to lose too much time to the RB on fresh medium tyres. As we got Batman losing a position to Don Moore, obviously those fresh mediums working a charm, and now has about a 15-second gap ahead to close up to T7s and Broseph, which I would not be surprised if we see those two cars come in the next 5 laps to get onto their second set of medium tyres.
I think at this point, if I was engineering for Ferrari, I would call him in, put him on a medium set, or you could do the alternate, which is he stays out for another 4-5 laps, go on another set of softs, close that gap.
True, but I think the mediums are actually a pretty good tyre, so I don't know sort of how they would go. Obviously, we don't know. Obviously, it's lost a second there as Oscar's finally come in, so they will go 22 laps on a set of medium compounder tyres, so look for the Mercedes to be quick, but unfortunately, you can see the track map on the bottom right of your right-hand side of your screen. Got to be behind both Alpines, but obviously will be absolutely rapid. You're looking at about 15 plus laps fresher tyres compared to the guys ahead, so inside the top 10, so we'll look to Oscar to try and claw his way through the field. But maybe potentially a podium. Obviously, that's a big first stint for the Merc driver, so we'll have to wait and see. Gap out front, 21.0 seconds. It's ducked under 21 seconds now. So time is being lost. I think that's 3 seconds in this last lap and a half. So Ferrari going to have to make the call. They're going to have to make it now. But we'll keep an eye on it. Does King Dog come in? No. Problem is he's fighting a Sauber, which won't really be happy with that. Obviously Zenon on fresh medium tyres. Oh, we've lost Batman having a bit of a moment, and was that a cheeky reset to track? I don't know. Weird spot to be stopped on track, so might have to be looked at. I thought I saw a bit of a flash to the middle of the screen, so Batman, obviously, unfortunate for him, he's still in the final points paying position in P15. He's got Parzival behind in P16, about 2.2 seconds behind, but Devo, Jenna's doing really well, P6, hard compound tyres. Do you think you can get a couple more positions as we head into the final 20 laps?
Oh yeah, for sure. I know obviously Jenna's got the pace to match it with those top guys up there, so I know he can possibly in this last stint. I'm not sure if he's going to stop again yet or not, but in this last stint he can definitely make up some ground on those guys in front, and yeah, get a couple extra positions and a couple extra points for the team.
You're exactly right. Obviously, I'm not sure if you've spoken to your tier 2, tier 1 drivers. How those guys sort of feeling going into the weekend?
Well, I know the tier 1 guys. I know they're feeling pretty confident. Obviously after Webbsy won last week, after he wasn't feeling that confident at all. But I know Shawnee's feeling a lot better after. Oh, he had his power cut out at the end of the last race or something, but I'm not sure what happened exactly. But I know he's feeling a lot more confident on the game now that he's picked it up and has actually driven it quite a bit more. The tier 2 guys, obviously, if people have seen the check-ins, we're missing Sheldon this week due to some other commitments. But other than that, I know Jono's feeling pretty confident as well, and just hoping the reserve we get can just bring it home across the line. That's all I'm asking for.
Yeah, and obviously big points on offer. Aussie goes a little bit wide at turn 13, but will still remain in DRS. Maybe for a chance to get Tyrone, but I think Tyrone actually won't have DRS, so it looks like it could be the other Alpine. So Junkyard Dog. So Alpine's still looking strong. P7, P8 gets the move done. So good points for Alpine at the moment. Oh, and that's going to be Aussie trying to make the move back. That forces the Alpine to go a little bit deeper, so could affect his run through turn 2 and 3 on board with the Red Bull. But thankfully for Junkyard, he gets DRS from his teammate as we get the move down the outside, down the inside from Oscar while we're riding on board. So Oscar on those fresh medium tyres. This is sort of what we were expecting, that Merc to really carve his way through. Do we see him move down the inside at turn 8? We most certainly do. Should easily have the better grip, better traction, and lovely move. 2 moves in this particular lap. And I have a feeling it won't be long before he's in front of the other Alpine. But good pace and good overtake from Oscar.
Cheers to the chat, guys. I've got to quickly head off for a bit, but I might bounce back in right at the end of the race.
No, too easy,
but yeah, cheers to the chat, guys. Catch you later.
Cheers.
Have a good one.
Yeah, you too. Thanks for helping in. So that's devastated McLaren's TP. So Jenneth in P6 and Dom Moore in P13. So both cars scoring points at the moment. We're under 20 laps left to go. Gap out front, 17.7 seconds. So Hato is still chipping into that lead. Dan the Racer is going to be the first of the top guys to make their second stop.
And he's put on another hard set.
Yeah, so maybe just, I think that's sort of a sensible one. Maybe just didn't have the second set of mediums. But will come out in a bit of clear air. You will want to hope that he's ahead of Broseph. We'll just keep an eye on that. On board. And he should be clear. Hopefully he can just warm up those hards. And he should be clear. Broseph's on 27 lap old hards himself. So Dan should be able to easily clear. And he'll have a bit of gap to this train, which is led by Jenneth. Oscar down the inside. But Jenneth just sort of opened the door, let the Mercedes through. So Oscar already up into the top 5. Only after 3 laps has made 4 overtakes. So Oscar is net P3, you have a feeling. Unless Bing and Jamin are going to try and get to the end. But you have a feeling only 5 seconds from 5th to 3rd. I don't feel like they will have the pace to keep Oscar behind. It's going to be now Dan the Racer on those hard compounded tyres. So I think Oscar is in a prime position to get that final step on the podium.
Yeah, I think Oscar has just made the right call at the right time. I think that Dan might have gone a bit too late for the hard, as we had a half spin for one Aston's before. I think that was Salmon's having a half spin. Yeah, King Dodger has lost way too much time. Doesn't help the fact that he's getting harassed by one of the Salvers, and I think that's Zandon harassing him. If I'm not mistaken, it is.
Yeah, it is. Aussie. Oh, no, sorry, Batman. We got a virtual
VSD.
safety car.
And this will help Hogger.
Whether it lasts long enough, though. He's in the middle sector.
Now Batman has no wing. This actually hurts Dogger if Batman pits, as Xander's just giving him a tap. The
Yeah, sorry, I was looking at the wrong car. Sorry, it's the Ferrari that has to pit, not Hato. So, King Dogger, and I think that was the right call. Batman actually got out of the way. That was a smart call. Problem is he's caused a little bit of carnage between Batman and Zandon. But obviously...
Yeah, he's giving his teammate illegal.
No, and that's just cost him a hell of a lot more time.
No,
and he's got a double stack. That's going to be a cut along the pit line. Batman was trying to do the right thing, however, the illegal overtake. So King Dogger's just lost a whole bunch of time. I think the Delta will help him though. He'll be about probably 6-7 seconds under the Delta, so he'll be able to close that Delta back up. Problem is, he's now behind Zandon, so Zandon will be able to push a little bit. But that was the worst case scenario for Ferrari, and I have a feeling the Battle Cat will not be too pleased about that.
I think worst case scenario is King Dogger, he cut the pit entry line after following it in, which is a slam dunk penalty as drive-through.
I think I saw 2 names up there. It was Tyrone, and it's Aussie, and it's Batman. 3 drivers picking up drive-through penalties. So we see our first intervention of some sort of safety car, and it is King Dogger that's probably been hurt the most by that. Gap to Hato is 12 seconds. And that has not worked out at all. Tyrone coming in to serve his drive-through penalty. That's the worst case scenario for the Alp. Was looking really good towards his with his teammate in Junkyard. So it comes out ahead of Aussie, who himself has a drive-through penalty to serve in the next couple of laps and has no right end plate. As Zandon picks up a 10-second time penalty for ignoring blue flags because he's got the Ferrari of King Dogger right behind him again. So Zandon's up to 22 seconds worth of penalties. King Dogger's finally coming in, but that's pretty much screwed his race.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure I don't know what the penalty is for pit cutting the entry line, but
I think it's a 5 and 1. 5 and 1 for a pit cut, I believe, or a 3 and 1. Either or, he has to go soft. So it's a medium soft for King Dogger tonight. Problem
So he
is,
doesn't. That's a
Hato's
fresh set of softs. So
yeah, that's a fresh set of soft. Problem is, Hato's on 8-lap-old mediums, not 20-lap-old hards. So the time gap, the time gain won't be massive. As Oscar and J-Man's fighting side by side, Oscar getting the move done. Oscar up into the top 4, and he's only 2 seconds behind Beng in that final podium position, and he's got the freshest tyres. Dan currently in P8, but he's about 15 seconds off Oscar. So Oscar making the one-stop work. Obviously didn't have the pace of the top 2, but that's a fantastic strategy call from Oscar, the reserve. Not sure if he had any help from any of the Mercedes team, if Aussie sort of got in there and sort of helped or not. But yeah, fair play to Oscar, our reserve, and that's sort of put them on notice if the seat opens up. But looking really good, and as we said earlier, right behind Bang, he closed that gap by about a second and a bit just in that first sector alone. So this move will be coming, you'd imagine, at turn 1 or maybe even before then.
yeah. So at the moment, since King Dodger pitted, he's already taken 1.2 seconds out of Hato after the pit.
Yeah,
So does
it's pace, but it's whether or not they can if they can have pace throughout. As we are joined by the TP that the car is currently leading, and that's RB, and it's checkered flag, checkered. Probably a little bit
Hello,
lucky.
mate.
Little bit lucky that Ferrari sort of bottled that a couple of laps ago, but
Very lucky.
8.2 seconds left, or 8.2 second gap, I should say. 15 laps left to go. Can Hato hold off a fast charging King Dogger?
I will say this: K Dog will catch him. I don't have a doubt in my mind about that. But my kind of thing is that, from what I saw, K Dog did cut the pit entry line. And I think we all saw that. So I don't know if what penalty that one is. It's a 5 second, isn't it?
I
yes.
think so. I think a 5 and 1. But as I said, I saw you in the chat, and I figured, being the TP, more than likely, if King Dogger somehow wins, I'd imagine you'd be putting that report in straight away.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So, yeah. Well, as soon as I saw that, I just figured it's is definitely gonna get a penalty for that. But we're very very lucky that Ferrari kind of screwed each other over there. But anything can happen. You see, he's just at the fastest lap, so he is absolutely flying, and I know he will catch Hato. But one thing I noticed with the last strategy, with his last stint on the softs, he did plateau on time once Hato did start pushing on those 30 odd lap old hards again. So there is a plateau there. I do think Hato on pace will win this race, but regardless, even if K Dog gets past, I know we've got that 5 second leeway to hold on to, and the softs, I believe they'll die around for him, K Dog around lap 52, lap 53. So we've got 5 push laps to the end for Hado to stay within that 5 second or to stay ahead. So that's good. With Raw Dog, he's been running a good race. We've been doing the undercut kind of thing to bring him back into the race. He's almost there. He's doing all right. I am hoping he can get a point out of this. He's been doing a really good job. I'm very, very proud of him tonight. The entire team is currently in the team radio box at the moment. So we're all supporting each other. So it's going really well. But yeah, hopefully we can come out at the end of tonight with 2 wins in a row for RB.
Yeah, it's good to hear that. Obviously, such a good, strong, dynamic team dynamic, as I said, and sort of speaking to you. I think in the socials, that's sort of what you wanted pre-season. That you wanted a strong team that obviously build around each other, and obviously that good chemistry, and obviously good to see all of your drivers in the team chat. As we see King Dogger setting another fastest lap. Strategy call. Were you always thinking about the one stop, or did you think that, or was Hado sort of saying,
That
those
was
the hards were?
Yeah, that was Hato's call to go for the one stop. I'll explain at the end of the race. I won't explain now why we're doing this strategy, but I'll explain at the end of the race as to why we were doing this strategy. But um, yeah, at the moment, you can see K Dog will definitely catch Hato. So he is on an absolute fly at the moment. So it is getting worrying only for now, but I know in the long run we will have the pace to get him back again. So yeah.
Yeah,
Fair enough.
exactly. And as I said, yeah, it's looking closing up. But then again, we also know that it's one thing to close up, one thing to pass, and then one thing to sort of get out of a second. So Hato doesn't get back. Hato can sort of not get past King Dogger. So obviously something to keep an eye out on. Oscar, we're currently watching on screen, 23 seconds behind. So pit stop behind, but he's got the guys behind covered. Dan, unfortunately, making that second stop, just sort of hasn't worked out for him. He just hasn't had the pace on those hard compounded tyres. He's closed up a little bit, but just hasn't quite had the pace. I was thinking in that middle stint,
He
and
hasn't had the pace, but I thought he's done a fair job on those hard tires. I was pretty impressed with that performance by him to pull it off. I was thinking he was gonna try and stay longer to do the soft strategy, which could have piqued my interest because I could have watched over that. But um, yeah, I think he's got the podium himself locked down. So
no,
yeah, he hasn't had the pace from the front two, who's definitely just absolutely pulled away. But yeah, I'd like to say as well for Oscar, he's done a pretty impressive job on that hard tire strategy. At the moment, it's not really. You can see even despite having pretty fresh tires, he's not gaining absolutely anything on the 2 liters. So yeah, I'm not sure if he's pulling away from the cars behind, but yeah, even
yeah,
Keith Salmons, where's he gone?
P
Down to
11.
11th as well.
So
He was a worry for us initially. He was a worry for us initially, but fortunately, that was one contender loss due to his spin. So it gives us one less driver to worry about to the finish now.
yeah, exactly. I guess question for you: did you sort of plan for any safety cars? Because as I said, we've only had that one BSC. Um, Are you sort of surprised that with that we did sort of have a collision maybe at turn one, or we just haven't seen drivers maybe lose
No,
it
no,
at turn
I'm not
four, turn
surprised at
eight?
all. No, I'm not surprised at all. This league compared to other leagues is like with other leagues, there's just no point for a strategy because they always have to bloody worry about a safety car. But this league, you actually do strategize because there's like barely any safety cars. I mean, last season when we had 100% race, um, in Austria and we only had one safety car, like that's bloody incredible to watch. So. Yeah, we knew there wasn't really going to be any safety cars because I mean, you look at the racing here. Most of the people that crash on their own. So yeah,
Yeah. Well, as I said, I think we're both myself and Apollo were sort of amazed with how great the first 10 laps were. People thinking it was sort of a bit of a 5 lap open lobby, but we managed to actually nearly get away with it scot free as well. But it was fantastic racing at the start on heavy fuel. Obviously, without a safety car, obviously the gaps are sort of spread out a little bit. However, we do have this battle for P1, and it's now closed under a second. So King Dogger
indeed.
will have
So
DRS.
I'll probably go back into the comms box to help my team. Thank you, boys.
Good
No
luck
problem.
to your driver for the final 10 laps. Apollo, we think King Dogger's got the pace at the moment. Can Hato hang on, and can he really afford to potentially think about sort of any penalty that the Ferrari may get? Does he just have to try and win this on track now?
I think with Hato, it's clear cut King Dogger is going to get a pen for that. He full on cut that pit entry line. There's no denying that's not going to be a penalty. So if Hato does get passed by him, he just needs to stay within that 5 seconds. And since there's two DRS zones after a long straight,
I was going to
Jesus.
say a little bit of a late move to try and cover that. So we're going to go side by side. Cannot afford to have contact, but all the while Hato keeps King Dogger behind. It helps him to potentially avoid the Ferrari getting more than 5 seconds of clear out front. But you sort of have a feeling that Hato, well, he knows he doesn't have the pace. He needs to really try and keep this Ferrari behind as long as he can. But even out of turn 10, you can just see how much more grip uh, the Ferrari has just on those red wall tyres. Obviously, nothing doing there, but it's only going to be a matter of time. Surely, obviously, 2 and a bit tenths coming out of the final corner. That's going to be surely an easy move into turn 1.
Yeah, so at this point, Halo doesn't really have to worry because he knows he's going to get that 5 seconds. But what Halo is doing, he's actually doing the right thing. He's holding King Dog up. He's actually forced him to make a move before the DRS protection.
Yeah, well, he's done the smart thing. He'll have DRS. Oh, we've got a yellow flag, but it remains green. I think that was a bit of a moment for one of the cars, maybe Batman trying to let, being a lapped car, potentially letting some guys through, not sure. But Hato, he got the move done. Problem is he had a really poor exit, and that Ferrari's going to be side by side even before DRS gets activated. And King Dogger down the inside. Does he pull it up?
Wide.
A little bit wide. Side by side, the inside line is all important. King Dogger will try and hang it around the outside through turn 6 and 7. The run down to turn number 8. The RB has the inside line. Surely the Ferrari... Bit of contact, but the Ferrari should have better traction. Side by side, going through 9 and 10. The RB will have to let that position go. Potentially try and do the switchback. Who gets DRS? Neither of them got DRS. But does the RB try and fight? Down the inside at turn 11. Has the inside line. There's more contact. Got to be careful. And thankfully, both of them still facing the right way. Hato retakes the race lead, and I have a feeling will probably let go of the throttle and allow King Dogger to again take the lead into turn number 1. Sorry, take the lead into the final quarter to get DRS going down into turn number 1. Oh, that's wide from the Ferrari though, King Dogger. So surely Hato will get back past, needs to be able to take the racing line. We have 8 laps remaining in Tier 3, the 100% Round 2 Enduro here in Bahrain. Down the inside. He does manage to pull it up. King Dogger was a little bit wide, but he does have the better exit again. So the RB surely has to go defensive in the turn forward. No, he doesn't. Takes the racing line. Oh, he actually got DRS, actually. So he actually worked that well, but he went wide himself. But he just holds and keeps the lead. So this is helping his race. King Dogger just has to be patient. Don't send a silly move down the inside, causing contact and potentially ruin a chance at this race win. But at the moment, Halo's doing a good job. But can he keep up that pressure for another 8 laps? I do not know. So they've settled down into turns 11 and 12. Batman picks up a 3-second time penalty.
As this has happened, Dan, who pitted 3 laps after Oscar, he's actually caught up to that little battle pack. He's actually already past Jennifer at the back. He's just gonna get to Junkyard, and then he's got that little DRS train between an Aston and Sauber.
Yep. Meanwhile, we'll have a look at the front lap 50, and it's the Ferrari that has DRS. Does he send the move down the inside? He's seen how the RB has defended. He stays behind. That's actually a smart move. He needs to get the drive out of turns 2 and 3. He most certainly does that. And should easily take the lead. The RB trying to force him to the inside line. Trying to do another switch back. The Ferrari again goes deep, having the inside line. And again can't actually clear the RB and actually make that position stick. So again, Hato driving nicely, has to be a little bit careful on the late weaving. But again,
I think
just forcing the Ferrari driver just to take that sharp inside line at turn 4. We know how hard it is to take an inside line at turn 4 to actually keep pace. And as I said, it might be a little bit naughty or maybe a little bit aggressive, but he's doing a fantastic job to keep that Ferrari behind, which I would have thought was going to be gone 3 laps earlier.
Yeah, 3 laps earlier when King Dogger got up to him, I think Hato took too much a risk, in my opinion, by that late defensive move. That Ferrari could report it, but probably nothing will come of it.
It's going to be that two moves. As I said, you can only change your line once in terms of defending, so that's what they're going to be looking out for if there is a report. But he's much closer to the rear of the RB and should easily have the move done down the inside with DRS. Question is, can Hato get the exit out of this particular corner to get the drive? Or he's a little bit loose through the exit of turn 1. And I think King Dog has finally got the move done. Does Hato send a late move down the inside? No, he doesn't. Yellow flag in the middle sector. I think it was one of the Red Bulls. But we still remain green, and King Dogger takes the lead. Now he needs to push that 5-second gap as the Sauber gets out of the way. So
that
not sure.
gap's already out of the second.
Yeah, so no DRS for Hato. It's 6.5 laps left remaining. Do those soft tyres last? Do Hato's mediums last? As we see Dan having a bit of a moment at turn 1. He'll be a little bit vulnerable to Junkyard Dog, but 15 laps older, hard compounded tyres, you should really have a chance to do that. He won't. Jonathan, sorry, that's a lap car of Batman, obviously on fresher tyres, getting past the McLaren. So we'll try and have to hurry up so he doesn't get a penalty for ignoring blue flags. But Hato kept within DRS. So had a strong second half of the lap. So you see the rear wing open. So he'll close a little bit. The Ferrari trying to maybe burn a little bit of battery. It's 1 second. Where was the detection point? I think it's prior to that. So I think Hato will get DRS. Yes, he does.
He does.
Well, it means that gap's a second. So just wondering if King Dog is just struggling out a couple of these corners in the second sector that's just allowing Hato to do it. But I think this time by, it's down to 1.1, 1.2. Hato needs to be strong in this second sector to try and keep within DRS. We've got 5.5 laps left to go in the Tier 3 Enduro round here at Bahrain, round 2 here at Inter Racing League. Scotty and Apollo in the comms box for some really good Friday night action. We've seen some great battles up and down the field. Start of the race was hectic. Slowed down a little bit in the middle part, but we're starting to pick it up again with the two leaders. Two guys have been strongest throughout this entire race. And I think Hato's finally just given up, the tyres have given up just a little bit. Gap 1.7. And I think King Dogger, if he was close enough to that McLaren, may actually get some DRS.
He's going to get a nice slipstream though from this McLaren.
Yeah, McLaren goes to the inside, obviously letting the leader through. So obviously getting the blue flag, so he'll try. I'd imagine he'll do the same for the RB going into turn number 4 as well.
I don't think Hato will be happy with that.
Maybe not, he's actually not close enough. So, gap 2 seconds.
This might come down to the last lap, just gap-wise. I wonder if Battlecat has told King Dogger that he has to get a 5-second gap.
Yeah, I think Battlecat and Checkered Flag, as the McLaren goes out of the way, both TPs have been very active either in the chat or joining us in the Discord, so both know exactly what's happening. Both of them would have seen the footage of that pit lane cut, so Battlecat would have told their driver, I'd imagine, or sent a message out that he needs to pull 5 seconds. Hato knows to keep within 5 seconds. So gap 2.4 seconds, and it looks like the mediums are struggling a lot more than King Doggers. And remember, I think King Dogger went 18, 19 laps, I think, on those soft compounded tyres. So he's still in his range that he did in the middle stint, and obviously less fuel on board. Speaking of fuel, actually, it'd be very interesting to see if any of these guys have actually got fuel left, considering that we haven't actually had a full safety car, and we only had like a half lap VSC. So hopefully these guys haven't underfueled by 3 laps and maybe thought that we might get 5 safety cars. So we'll just keep an eye on that if there's any slow drivers towards the end.
Would like only person that is risk on fuel is Aussie, mate, in Red Bull.
He's in a bit of a battle pack at the moment with T Simmons and Tyrone. So Tyrone currently just inside the top 10. Xandon Plays currently having the final point position, but he's got 22 seconds worth of penalties, so that gap is really only 5 seconds to his teammate. He's on new sauce, but not if he takes to the grass like that. Parzival back on track, but it would have cost him a couple of seconds, so Sauber unfortunately qualified well, but they've just not had sort of the race pace, or just got caught up in a few incidents, unfortunately. So only one car at the moment, only scoring us 2 points. So keep an eye on that gap out front, though. 3.6 seconds. Hato's really struggling. I think maybe he cooked his tyres early on in this stint, and he's going to be in real danger of keeping within 5 seconds.
Yeah, so at the moment, the only place that King Dodger's really gained the most time on Hato is through the start of Sector 2, which is where those soft tires are basically at their peak on grip-wise. Everywhere else is a bit even with Hato. It's just Hato's struggling within that first part of Sector 2.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be very interesting. Gap is over 4 seconds. We need a second for King Dogger just to sort of make sure that he keeps this win after there was an incident under the VSC that he cut the pit lane line to try and not get double stack from his teammate. So, as I said, RB was more than likely or 100% going to report it. And he needs about a 5-second gap because we think, pretty sure it's a 5 and 1. And he's only got 7/10 left. Dan the Racer gets side by side with J-Man and should have the move done down into turn 1. Tyrone picks up a 3-second time penalty. As J-Man, does he fight back into turn number 1? Dan gives him enough room around the outside. Who has the better exit through 2 and 3? I think it's going to be Dan, but J-Man will have DRS. So J-Man, first race this season, missed last week. So running in a nice spot in P6, same as Broseph as well. So both classes inside the top 10. And I think the only team actually running 2 cars besides, actually Aston. So T Simmons, good recovery drive after his issues at the start. Currently inside the top 10 on 16 lap old medium tyres. We'll see if they can close into Broseph, who's on 14 lap old softs. Meanwhile, gap in front has hit 5 seconds. Oh, and there's going to be a bit of dodgy play because the other RB trying to hold up that Ferrari a little bit. The Ferrari team won't be happy about that. How much time did they lose through those couple of corners? Not too much. So, yeah, maybe a little bit naughty from A-Dog. Just not quite getting out of the way, but still has the gap. 5.3 seconds in Apollo with only a lap and a half left. I don't see Hato clawing this gap back. He's just lost a lot of time in these last 5 laps.
I don't think Hato can. It's just the only way is that you have to really pray for King Dodger. His tires to just go off, like now. Is the only way you, or if he's on 2 warnings and he picks up another one, he gets a 3-second pen, it's over.
Yeah, and yeah, just really unfortunate. Hato drove a really, really good race. Obviously the one stop just didn't quite work. He just lost too much time under that first stint when King Dogger made that soft stint really work well, and then obviously even with the issues that King Dogger had trying to come into pit lane under the VSC, obviously the gap 5.7 seconds, easily got the gap and is still extending it as we're on the final lap now. So we've got 3 retirements. We lost Koski on lap 6, unfortunately getting disqualified, trying to recover from a spin. We lost the other Williams, the Fat Eagle, on lap 12 due to, again, just trying to rejoin the track, but unfortunately sitting still too long. And then we lost Crowjag, who retired in pit lane on lap 29. So we've got 17 drivers, top 15 score points. It is double points this weekend. Our first Enduro round, first of 2. And we've had some brilliant fighting here in the desert. King Dogger's got 1 sector left to go. We've got a collision between Dan and Meg.
I don't know if that was a collision or just a spin from the Aston.
Not sure. Gabe didn't want to give me a good camera angle of it, so Bang in P6, J-Man up into P5, Dan in P4, but has a penalty, so may lose that out. But we're going to switch to our race leader. Gap is about 6 seconds, so should be clear. So King Dogger making the 2-stopper work. King Dogger and Ferrari will take out the Tier 3 Enduro here in Bahrain. Hato will come across the line, 6.1. So even if that report comes in, you'd imagine Hato will still be 1 second short. So Hato, the 1-stopper, is not quite paying off. Oscar Piastri Goat, a fantastic 1-stop. He absolutely made that work. He's got one of the Saubers behind, but Oscar, he had a fantastic drive and first race out as a reserve this season. And Oscar Piastri, as you got the Sauber spinning in front, that would have been absolute tragedy. But Oscar will come across the line. He'll finish in P3 and step on the podium. Fantastic effort from the Mercedes reserve. Aussie 2K Goat will be very happy about that. Dan the Racer, fair shout out to him. That second stop hurt him in terms of he was comfortable sort of in that podium spot. Didn't quite work out, but he does lose that position to J-Man with that 3-second time penalty. J-Man, great effort from him. First race this season. Dan in P5. Bang, great job from him. P6. Junkyard in P7. Jenneth in P8 from the rear of the field. He's moved up 12. He'd be a contender for driver of the day. Brosa finishes inside the top 10. T7's unfortunately had that spin after taking the race lead, but does finish inside that top 10. Tyrone will finish in 11th. Aussie in P12 will be the last car across the line. A-Dog in 13th. Domwar in 14th. Zenon does pick up the final spot on the final points paying position in 15th.
Aussie ran out of fuel.
Oh no.
Oh, I swear he was high, like P10, then he dropped to P12, and I think he dropped because he ran out of fuel.
Yeah. So, Junkyard gets the games driver of the day. We'll have a look, obviously, at the position changes very shortly. But here is your podium, and it is King Dogger. King Lee in the Discord. Fantastic 2-stop strategy. He had pace. Little mistake in the pit lane, and that was his only mistake. And he picks up the trophy and the top step of the podium and all 48 points. And I believe he actually had fastest lap as well. So that's a 50-point haul from King Lee. That's maximum points out of this weekend. And I have a feeling he will be, if he's not leading the Drivers' Championship, he'll be very close to it, but I'm pretty sure he is. But we'll have a final quick squiz at the results. King Dogger, Hato, Oscar Piastri Goat is your top 3. As we said before, J-Man, Dan the Racer, Bang, Junkyard Dog, Jenneth Lee, Broseph, and T7's your top 10. Tyrone, Aussie, Raw Dog, Domwar, and Zen Plays are your point scorers. Parswell, unfortunately, I think he DNF'd on the last lap. Batman, unfortunately, a lap behind, just not his race, unfortunately. And then, obviously, our 3 retirements, Crowjag in the pit lane, and unfortunately, Williams having an absolute nightmare. P19, P20, both getting disqualified for trying to safely rejoin the track. So, get the images for that. We'll quickly scroll down the race director. I think a lot of this would be Zandon because he picked up about 10 million seconds worth of penalties, but Zandon had good pace. Unfortunately, 2 front wing changes just sort of hurt him. So, as we can sort of have a bit of a breather. Race time, hour and a half, so good race time. Only 1 BSC. So shout out to the guys. And obviously we'll want to have a bit of a chat to our top 3, so we'll try and get these guys in as soon as we can. So we'll switch back to the viewer screen. We'll have a bit of music playing in the background while we wait for our top three. But Apollo, fantastic race. Great battle towards the end, obviously. Yeah, just the two-stopper from King Dogger, just masterclass.
Yes, I did. I did expect that before we go into the session that two-stop was going to be the quickest strategy. It's just how you implement your one-stop is more if it's fast or not. The way that Hato did it, almost the quickest strategy, but just at the end it wasn't as quick as the medium double soft strat that King Dogger did.
Yeah, exactly. As we try and get these guys in, and as me Racing League Tools freezes, which is always lovely to see. But yeah, shout out to the top three. Obviously Dan as well, Jeneth moving up a lot. So obviously, Apollo, I'll get you to sort of have a bit of a think of who your driver of the day is, because there's definitely a few contenders. So we'll wait and see that one. So just wait for these guys. We'll chuck a link in the tier 3 chat. So Fantastic's up tier 3, obviously tier 2 tomorrow afternoon. Obviously I will be racing in that one, and yeah, it's going to be interesting knowledge that we did learn as well. Obviously the one stop or the two stop, sort of how people use their tyres as well, in terms of how they were able to sort of get the length and actually get a bit of tyre wear lasting out of them. So yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting, and a little bit of practice for myself tomorrow to see sort of how we go about it. But yeah, fantastic race all around. So hopefully
Yeah.
we shouldn't be too far away from these guys.
Just it's interesting just seeing what tire lasts the longest. It looked like the medium during that whole 100% wasn't the quickest tire out of any of them. There was talk about other people using the medium tire that it felt like the worst tire in Bahrain, which we might see in other races for 100%. Because this game, it now really matters which tire you choose and how good it is. It's no longer you choose the hardest one and that's the best tire.
Yeah, exactly. And we sort of figured that it was going to be a double, like a two-stop anyway. But obviously, one stop was viable at 100%, which actually surprised me a little bit. Hopefully, we can get a couple of these guys in. My voice is shot, so it'd be nice to actually have a bit of a breather. Copy link. So we'll see. Then again, it is 10 o'clock on the eastern side of Australia. So here we got Kingley, Piastri, and we've got Hato. So see if any of them join us. Alright, well, while we're waiting for them, driver of the day. Who do you think probably is going to be up there? I'll have a quick look at the positions gained. You've got Junkyard Dog up 12. You had Jenneth up 12. So the back row of the grid finished 7th and 8th and picked up a whole bunch of points. So Junkyard getting the games driver of the day is probably not too far off, to be fair. Beng moved up 8 positions. Dan the Racer moved up 7. J-Man moved up 5. So there's definitely a few drivers, and obviously our King Lee, our race winner as well, up 2, so he could always in the running as well. So Piastri unfortunately not able to join us, so unfortunate for them, but big shout out to Oscar Piastri. Great first race in, so really good. We do have King Lee in, so we'll have a bit of a chat. P1, fantastic result from yourself, and very strong on both sets of your soft tyres, and you managed to claim all 50 points from that one. Congratulations. How'd you see it from your point of view?
Yeah, it was quite a good race from my point of view. The softs were just the quickest race tires, so I reckon Hato probably was the quicker driver out there, but I think the strategy was just a bit better.
So, how did you find or sort of how were you thinking in terms of strategy? Obviously, no safety cars at the point. You obviously ducked in early and obviously did the double stops. And what was sort of your thinking in terms of how to play that race?
My original strategy was to go medium, soft, medium, and then when I went on the softs, they were actually lasting for quite a while, so I just decided that softs felt much better than the medium, so I thought, may as well go for softs again, see how we go.
Yeah, that's you're a rapid. However, we do have to talk about the incident under the VSC. Sort of what happened there. Obviously, Batman causing the VSC, and then it looked like he was just going to let you through potentially for you to obviously take your pit stop. But then obviously you got an illegal overtake, and then obviously, unfortunately, sort of cut in the pit lane as well. So, sort of how were you sort of feeling after that moment?
Yeah, it was very awkward because obviously Batman let me pass because he was lapped, and then the game decided that it was an illegal overtake, so I had to slow down, let him pass. And I wasn't really thinking, I was just going into the pit lane. I'm like, oh, shit, Batman's pitting, he's got to change his front wing. It's going to be like a 9-second pit stop. So I'm going to lose heaps of time. And then I just quickly swerved out without really thinking. And yeah, 5-second penalty is a bit annoying, but I was able to build the gap. But yeah.
Yeah, you're definitely the quicker driver in those last 5 laps. Paulo, anything for our race winner?
More just you looked like the tires just lasted a lot longer. Was there any tire saving, or were you just full on push with the softs?
At the start, following Hato really helped manage the tyres a bit. But most of the race, I wasn't really managing tyres at all. They just never really fell off. So the softs were definitely the fastest tyres for that race, I reckon.
No, you can definitely tell that obviously you were just able to manage yours just a little bit more, but full bag of points tonight. Obviously, Hungary next time out in a week's time. Obviously, different track. Obviously known as commonly known as Monaco without the walls. How are you feeling going into next week?
More confident than I was going into this week. Seems like me and Hato are actually very similar on pace, so I'm looking forward to battling with him again. And yeah, we'll just see how the weekend goes.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to it. And if we saw half the battle that we saw tonight at the start, should be a great one. But yeah, big congratulations on P1. Another win for Ferrari. And yeah, congratulations and good luck next week in Hungary.
Thank you.
All right, Paulo, we do have our second place getter in here. Do you want to have a chat to him and how close he was to getting that W?
Yeah, so Hato, well done on the second. Great pace. Just walk us through your strategy because you did do a one stop.
Yeah, so I wasn't planning on doing on a one stop. I was trying to do a two stop with the hard mediums hards. But then lap 15, I noticed that my tires were still on 15%. So I just decided I'll go to the one stop. And like the time I pit, I think was lap 30. They were still on 45%. I think I could have done more, but I had to fuel save, so I decided to pit to save some fuel, and then I was coming back on the Ferrari, and then the VSC came out, and then he got a free pit stop the next lap onto the sauce, which unfortunately are better than the mediums this game.
Yeah, there was a bit of talk after the race. that you apparently hit the 70% mark on those mediums at the end of the race. How did they
Ah.
feel towards the end? Because you were losing about a second in sector 2.
Yeah, they were not great, especially going through the S's, because I'm finding now on this game, every time you touch a curb with those worn tyres, it just grabs you, and you got to try save yourself every time. So I couldn't really gain on him that much. I noticed I started to pull on him through the corner exits, but it wasn't enough. His tyres were just too good.
Anything to add, Scotty?
No, I think you pretty much covered all. Actually, I do want to know that battle with King Lee, King Dogger in that first portion of the race. It was fantastic to watch. How was it actually driving alongside him?
It was fun. I don't get many chances to go side by side with other people in other leagues, unfortunately. But yeah, it was fun. It's just good racecraft from him to know that I'm there, leave the space. It's good to see. It's what you want to see.
Yeah, and it was definitely fun to watch. But yeah, Hungary next week. Obviously, King Lee feeling a little bit more confident than tonight, even though he won tonight. So, how are you feeling about Hungary next week?
Confident as one of the good tracks.
Yeah, definitely going to be an interesting fight. But congratulations on P2. Unlucky about that. Unlucky about just missing out. As I said, we figured that Checker would have definitely put in a report for that pit lane cut from the Ferrari, but obviously just that gap just a little bit too big. But again, big congratulations from yourself. Great start of the season for you, P1, P2, and looking forward to see how you go next week in Hungary.
Yeah, thank you.
Alright, so we'll just wrap this up. Driver of the day time now. Apollo, who are we thinking given
think,
driver of the day to?
Jennifer in the McLaren, I think. Coming from P20 to P8. Nursing the tyres very well to actually stay with people. I feel like he deserves driver of the day.
Yeah, it was definitely a great race from him. Obviously, Junkyard Dog as well was a good shout. Obviously, moving up the same positions, but yeah, Jenneth, we spoke to Devastator beforehand. Obviously, Jenneth will be disappointed with how Collie went, but obviously he had great race pace and had the right strategy and was able to really push the pace towards the end and having a couple of nice battles. So really good to see from Jenneth Lee. Obviously disappointed about the result because he may have had a pace maybe to fight for that podium if he wasn't starting right at the back. And yeah, just really unfortunate. But again, he had a great recovery drive. So yeah, definitely deserves driver of the day. And as I said, Junkyard Dog, definitely a good job from him. Dan the Racer as well. Shout out to him. J-Man as well, finishing in their first race in a solid result as well. Oh, wrong one. As I'm trying to get the driver of the day image up. I want the right one. There we go. That's Jenneth. Oh, no, wrong one. That's right. All good. Jenneth, driver of the day. So we'll get that image up. But again, big thank you for everyone for joining us. Obviously, we know endurance races. Obviously, fatigue wasn't actually too bad towards the end. Not a lot of crashing out for a lot of the drivers. So very clean racing for 99.9% of it. But yeah, definitely looking forward to how Tier 2 and Tier 1 goes over the weekend. Polo, thank you very much for hopping in and jumping in with me. Thankfully, it wasn't as potentially boring as what we thought it could have been. We thought we might have been waffling on a little bit more, but thankfully there was plenty of action to keep us occupied.
Yeah. I think it might get to the point as that first 10 laps really shaped the race because I think just from those first 10 laps, people might have killed their tires a bit too fast, and that's why they're all bunched up.
Yeah, but it definitely provided plenty of action, and I think lap 6 or lap 7, we had 14 drivers within DRS, so yeah, definitely good to good to see. But again, thank you very much. Obviously, Sunday afternoon. How are you feeling? Obviously, seeing what you've seen tonight in terms of strategy, does that sort of change a little bit how you approach Sunday afternoon?
It does change how I'm gonna approach it. It's definitely going to change how I approach qualifying as well. But I just had to see tomorrow with the tier 2 guys, because I'm probably gonna engineer them. Is see how they go. Hopefully, it's not as chaotic as the start of tier 3 was, and we get a 5 lap, basically a 5 lap open lobby fight for the first 10 laps again.
Yeah, it'd be nice to have that, and hopefully I might be one of them. But we'll wait and see. But again, big thank you for hopping in, and thank you everyone for watching. I know we were hovering around 30, 40 for a long time, so again, we very much appreciate all your support. Obviously, we've got the links to Discord through that in the chat earlier, and obviously, definitely some reserve spots. So if anyone does want to have a crack with some of these drivers, obviously you can more sign up for a reserve seat. But yeah, fantastic action all race long. So we'll sign off for now. We'll see you tomorrow afternoon at 5 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time for Tier 2, and then Sunday afternoon for Tier 1 at the exact same time. So again, big thank you to Apollo. I've been Scotty, and we'll catch you tomorrow afternoon for Tier 2. Thank you, and goodbye.